Oh, Robert De Niro.
Yeah.
Now, Kurt's convinced that Robert De Niro's on some kind of Epstein list or some kind of thing like that, and then he's afraid that if Trump does get power, he's going to expose him, and he is actually going to come at him.
Of course Kurt thinks
That's
that.
what Kurt thinks that.
Kurt thinks that about every thing that happens in the world.
I think Robert De Niro's just got Trump derangement syndrome.
I think he's old, too. There's a thing about old men.
And
they want to yell at everybody.
And he's completely... Did you see when he went and gave that speech outside of the trial? That was bizarre.
Who told him that was a good idea?
And then he starts...
Robert De Niro has always played the tough guy on screen, but not everyone's buying that image in real life. Joe Rogan and Megyn Kelly weren't exactly impressed with his latest political rant. Rogan, never one to sugarcoat things, pointed out what he sees as clear double standards. Kelly went even further, breaking down the Hollywood persona De Niro seems to hide behind. And just like that, the legendary actor started to look less like a powerful figure from his films and more like a frustrated old man on live TV. So what set all of this off? This moment definitely deserves a closer look.
What about the garbage outside today? Robert De Niro, officially sent by the Biden campaign, makes himself look like an idiot and reminds us why Trump is so popular.
It's so stupid. It was colossally stupid. If you're going to send somebody to go speak outside of the Trump trial, make it someone who's universally beloved, like a Michelle Obama. You know, she's not universally loved. She's not loved on the right. But I'm saying, like, at least within the left and the center left, and maybe even some center righties. Robert De Niro has gone so hard partisan over the past 8 years. He is like example number one of Trump derangement syndrome.
Robert De Niro was once praised for turning mob roles into award-winning performances, but these days he's making more noise for his public outbursts than his acting. Lately, he moves through New York like he's still playing a role, tense, outspoken, and always ready to vent. The difference now, the spotlight isn't coming from a film set anymore. Instead, it's on De Niro himself, as he starts to look like a real-life version of the dramatic characters he used to play so well.
Yelling at regular people. He's like, fuck you, you're a gangster. Go fuck you. Like,
it's crazy that that's the guy
what?
from Taxi Driver.
Yeah.
Like, you know what also I think? I think those guys have no friends. I think the only friends they have are Hollywood phonies. And so you're in this weird world where everybody you talk to is a phony, and you become a phony, and everyone's a phony, and your grasp on reality is very slippery, and your eyes are going. Right?
Then in steps Joe Rogan, a guy who can jump from talking about health to taking shots at Hollywood in a heartbeat. And when it came to Robert De Niro's latest political rant, Rogan didn't hold back. He wasn't interested in weighing whether De Niro had a solid point, because to him, the whole thing just felt exaggerated and pointless. Rogan even compared it to watching someone get worked up over something that doesn't push back. It's loud, a little uncomfortable, and ultimately doesn't lead anywhere.
See old people's text messages? The fucking text on their phone is like as big as my hand.
Yeah.
It's crazy. And so your vision of the world is blurring, literally and figuratively, and then you're getting old, and when old people are tired and cranky, they just want everyone to listen to them, and they don't have time to have a calm conversation, and you state out your opinion, I'll state my opinion, let's see where we have common ground. Get off my lawn! And that's what he's doing. That's what he's doing. He's being this old grumpy man that is so lost that he thinks it's a good idea to stand in front of a bunch of people on the street and give a speech on camera about how bad Donald Trump is.
Joe Rogan didn't just offer mild criticism. He went all in, cutting through the noise with his usual blunt style. Robert De Niro had been making headlines for his fiery rants, going after anyone with a conservative view, like he was still acting out a scene. But Rogan stepped in with sharp sarcasm, throwing out, "What is this guy even doing?" It wasn't really a question, it was a way of pointing out just how disconnected De Niro's behavior looked. And just like that, the moment shifted, turning the legendary actor into more of a spectacle than a serious voice.
Robert De Niro has gone so hard partisan over the past 8 years. He is like example number one of Trump derangement syndrome. He's one of those, I'm moving to Canada if he wins, and he's never going to leave the White House if he wins. We're going to have Trump forevermore. I mean, hello, I hate to break it to you because I realize you're advanced age too, Robert, but people die. So he will leave. One way or the other, he's going to go. And in the not too distant future, even if Trump says he shouldn't have to. But in any event, he didn't do that the last time, Paul. Can you really picture a scenario in which Trump is more determined to hold on to power than he was at the last time in 2020, going into 2021? And what did he do ultimately? He left.
And Joe Rogan didn't just stay on the surface. He picked apart Robert De Niro's behavior like he was breaking down one of his more out-there podcast ideas. To him, De Niro's constant political outrage just didn't add up. And honestly, it probably doesn't land with many people. Maybe just a few old-school insiders still set in their ways. It almost feels like something out of another era. Like even Marlon Brando, somewhere in the great beyond, would be watching it all unfold with a slow, confused reaction.
Why is he talking about this? Why is he talking about this publicly?
I'm going to say one thing. Trump.
If you're going to come out and say that you have a really deep-seated hatred for one of the two people running for president, you can't just be, he's a bully, he's a piece of shit, I hate him.
He's an idiot. Colin Powell said it best. He's a national disaster. He's an embarrassment to this country. It makes me so angry that this country has gotten to this point, that this fool, this bozo, has wound up where he has.
You probably, if you're going to express yourself about it and alienate 50% of the country, which it seems like it is, you're going to have to do better than that. You should have some specific things. Like he did some real estate deals with people in New York. Let me tell you what he did to people over.
I would love to hear it.
He did this and that. Let me tell you what he did that was fraud. He did this and that.
Robert De Niro didn't respond, probably too busy filming another role, where he plays a grumpy older man, handing out life advice in a long, wandering monologue that barely connects. But Joe Rogan wasn't aiming for subtlety. He wanted to highlight how strange it is that a once iconic actor, known for quiet intensity, now comes across louder than someone ranting at a street festival. Then came Megyn Kelly. She didn't ease into it. She showed up ready, with facts, confidence, and her trademark sharp delivery. Looking at De Niro's recent outbursts, she put it simply: this is what happens when actors forget the line between a script and the real world. While Rogan leaned into humor, Kelly went more direct, breaking down De Niro's behavior piece by piece. To her, watching his shift from a respected actor to a political loudmouth wasn't just disappointing. It felt completely avoidable and, in a strange way, almost predictable.
Robert De Niro, who's got a severe case of the TDS, is in confront right now, as all of the muckety-mucks are. And he's very unhappy about what Trump is doing to try to keep filmmaking, American filmmaking, in America by slapping tariffs on foreign-made films so that he can basically try to force people to make them domestically again for the American audience that they're meant to serve. And here's what De Niro said on Tuesday.
America's Philistine president has had himself appointed head of one of our premier cultural institutions. He has cut funding and support to the arts, humanities, and education. And now he has announced a 100% tariff on films produced outside the U.S. Let that sink in for a minute.
What made Megyn Kelly's critique land so well was that she never had to raise her voice. She doesn't shout, she breaks things down. And Robert De Niro ended up on the receiving end, almost like a case study in celebrity activism gone wrong. With a few calm remarks and a subtle look, she picked apart his political image like it couldn't hold up under pressure. To be clear, she wasn't going after his acting. Like many people, she respects the classics. Taxi Driver is iconic. Raging Bull changed cinema. And Meet the Parents is still a go-to for laughs at family gatherings. But this wasn't about his film career. It was about how the man who once quietly delivered, "You talking to me?" now seems to be loudly demanding attention from anyone who doesn't agree with him. And that's where Kelly's point really hit. She showed just how unusual this shift, from respected actor to constant political voice, has become. With sharp precision, she compared it to someone suddenly deciding they're the voice of outrage overnight. And the strangest part, no one really steps in to challenge it. Because in a way, he's arguing with targets that aren't even there, one tense press moment at a time.
Robert De Niro, there's something about being a star where you think your opinion's more important than anybody else's, and you can go give a press conference. And he obviously has been very vocal from 2016 that he hates Trump for whatever reason. Maybe they have some personal thing.
You think Trump ever threw a punch himself or took one? This guy who ran and hid in the White House bunker when there were protesters outside? No way.
Now he's like holding press conferences. Now everyone's heckling him everywhere he goes. So like instead of just being this cranky old liberal, now you're this guy that is yelling at other people that are Trump supporters, and they're yelling at you. Like you've opened yourself up to this nonsense.
Meanwhile, back in his studio, Joe Rogan was genuinely wondering if Robert De Niro even has a PR team, or if he's just running his own personal, chaotic campaign. Sure, Rogan roasted him, but underneath it was real confusion. How could someone with such a legendary career spend his later years yelling at everything like the grumpiest cartoon grandpa imaginable? And it wasn't even about politics. Rogan wasn't coming at De Niro from a partisan angle. It felt more like a millennial watching a legend unravel and thinking, wait, why is Robert De Niro yelling? Why is he on every screen? Who handed him a mic and forgot the off switch? He likened it to watching a classic car spin in circles in the driveway. Beautiful design, but completely out of control. Both Rogan and Megyn Kelly made one thing painfully clear: De Niro is becoming a caricature of himself. And yet, nobody in Hollywood seems willing to pull him aside and say, hey Bobby, maybe skip the shouting on live TV today. Now imagine if De Niro actually watched either of them break down his public meltdown. He'd probably act offended, which is ironic, considering he's turned every TV appearance into a personal venting session. It's not activism anymore, it's performance anger.
But De Niro doesn't want to play someone truly evil, you see. At least not a certain someone. Maybe Jimmy was a Democrat. By the way, De Niro is also very upset that Donald Trump is an alleged racist. Wonder if he pulled Jimmy Kimmel aside last night and asked him to atone for his blackface-loving past.
Joe Rogan would probably hand Robert De Niro a protein bar and tell him to take a deep breath, while Megyn Kelly would just smile, nod, and keep dissecting his public relevance like she was editing a clumsy op-ed from the mid-2000s. The best part? They barely had to say anything. De Niro's current image is so inflated that it practically deflates on its own. His persona now feels like a balloon stuffed with old awards and a lot of hot air. One small poke from someone grounded in reality, and it's gone. Rogan, with his signature mix of disbelief and humor, voiced what many were quietly thinking. Is this really the path De Niro wants to take? Wearing a wrinkled suit, shouting about politics, and making dramatic faces that scream, I've had too much coffee and now I'm mad at the world. Kelly didn't just ask the question, she framed the story. She highlighted his fall from cultural grace as both predictable and a little sad. The same man who once delivered unforgettable lines in Scorsese films is now ranting in a scattered way, almost as if even he's lost the plot. To her, it's part comedy, part tragedy. A legendary actor aging out of relevance but refusing to step back with dignity. And here's the kicker. Rogan and Kelly weren't coordinating. No shared talking points, no planned takedown. They didn't have to. De Niro's public spiral was already so visible, so over the top. You could almost hear the popcorn popping as both of them took turns pointing out what everyone else was thinking.
Like, you didn't think this through. Like, this is... And he's getting yelled at. He's doing an outside press conference. Like, Robert, you're 80 years old. Don't ruin this thing. You've had this life where you were a fucking raging bull. You know, you were in The Godfather. Like, stop doing this. Man. Don't do this.
Robert De Niro clearly hadn't thought this through. There he was, standing outside at a press conference, getting heckled and looking completely out of place. You wanted to say, Robert, you're 80. Don't do this. You've had an incredible career. Aging Bull, the 1980 film, The Godfather, all for moments like this. But here's the twist. Neither Joe Rogan nor Megyn Kelly actually wants him to stop. That's part of the spectacle. Watching a man with more awards than well-formed opinions spiral into a permanently irritated version of himself has become its own kind of entertainment. Not the good kind, but like a viral clip of a raccoon stealing a watermelon. You know it's ridiculous, yet you can't look away. Rogan, somewhere between interviews and training sessions, even seems a little sorry for De Niro, like watching someone struggle to use a flip phone in the age of smartphones. Kelly, meanwhile, might as well have offered him a retirement package, a beach chair, a crossword puzzle, and some peace and quiet. Because here's the truth. It's not De Niro's political views that shock people. It's the performance. Every appearance has become a full-blown act, shouting opinions like he's auditioning for Angry Man Who Lost the Plot. Ironically, it may be the most authentic role he's played in years. And so we arrive here. Rogan strips away the Hollywood mystique, laughing at the over-the-top behavior and calling out the theatrics. Kelly, on the other hand, delivers a surgical takedown, cutting through ego, exposing decline, and framing De Niro's public unraveling like a Shakespearean drama. If Shakespeare had ever worked in cable news,
down like your movies suck. That's not true.
No, his movies are
don't
very good.
Suck. He's one of the greatest actors. I mean, he's the heir apparent to Brando. Blah blah blah. But he's a loon.
Yeah.
I mean, you have to just say what he is. He's he has. Basically, I describe this to people. You know what's happening now because people are aware about concussions and the problems with CTE. When you get hit and you get a dinger in football, they put you in the blue tent. In the sideline.
Yeah.
That's what needs to happen to Democrats. They need to go in the blue tent for a little bit, kind of, get your eyes checked, and then come out and be rational again.
Yeah, cool off
and
a
De
little.
Niro needs to go in the blue tent. I mean, because it's not calming things down. We need to be rational.
in the end, Robert De Niro isn't just a movie legend on the screen anymore. He's become a lesson in how fame, ego, and unchecked outbursts can turn even the greatest actors into caricatures of themselves. Rogan laughed, Kelly analyzed, and the public watched, caught between fascination and disbelief. It's not about politics. It's about performance. It's about a man who once whispered, "You talking to me?" now shouting at a world that doesn't always listen. And while some may shake their heads, others can't help but be drawn to the spectacle. Because even in decline, the show must go on. So, the question remains, can De Niro step back, reclaim the dignity of a legendary career, and remind us why he earned his place in Hollywood history? Or will he keep turning every camera, microphone, and live appearance into a stage for his personal drama? One thing is certain, watching it unfold is impossible to ignore, and the story is far from over.